World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
Hello, and welcome once again to another Tuesday. A fantastic Tuesday by that all stretch of the imagination. And just welcome. It's good to see you all. It's good to be with you. As you know, this is one of the most exciting days of my week, which is Tuesday, because I get to do two of the things that I love to do the most, which is one, talking to my students, which I enjoy every single day, and also looking forward to talking to you folks, everybody out there. Thank you as always for making that time. I had some great guests last week who made that time, and I was set up to have an appointment with that young lady. Family issues came up, so I'm hoping that the Reverend is back on today, and I'm looking forward to engaging with her in that upcoming next opportunity. But as always, thank you. Again, my name is Tyrone Glover, and I am the Dress Down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery. And as always, it is a pleasure. It is a pleasure to be with you. It's a pleasure to be amongst you. It is a pleasure to be around you. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to get this party started because we're going to be talking about credit reports by age, by state, by gender, and so on. There's a lot of interesting data out there that all of you should be familiar with. And we're finding out that not too many of us are as versed in the subject matters as we need them to be. But as I stated, that's why we have shows like this. That's why we have Leverage Credit Recovery, because first and foremost, we're about educating our people, making sure that they are fully up to par, up to speed with what goes on in their credit situations. And if you're doing that as we are asking of you, you should start by now seeing some of those payoffs. And if you're not seeing those payoffs, then it's ideal time to get back in contact with us so that we can all make sure that we're all on the same page, because I'm getting good results from myself. I'm getting great results from my consumers. I'm getting stellar results from even those who have just decided to take it as a course, meaning the free opportunities that are always provided to anyone who wants to learn how to do it on their own. Free. We will walk you through every step of what is needed. All right. So as I stated, we're going to get this party started. And today we're going to be talking about leveraging your credit scores by understanding what's in your credit reports by age, by state, by gender, and so on. And I almost forgot the one most important thing. If you haven't already given a shout out to that creator, because without him, none of this would be possible. So let's go ahead and, while you can, just go ahead and thank that creator for giving us another life in our breath, or breath in our lives, another opportunity to do what we do. And if you haven't already, take that device, that one that you can't live and be without. Make sure that you are sending out a request to one person. That's all I want. I want you, the person who is viewing, I want you to send it out to one person. Let them know that, hey, that guy's back on again, and he's talking about that important stuff that we're going to need to know. And as we go through this process, it's, again, just informative. It's good information. And at the very end, I'll touch on a couple of other topics that I really want to get out into the public sphere, whether or not I'm happy, dissatisfied with how our government is doing what they need to be doing. But as I stated, moving right along. All right, so a quick little message from me, the CEO. Credit is a multifaceted movement of many financial components. Now, this is what's important for all of you to understand. Really important. Self-sabotage is about 10% of our credit mishaps. Self-sabotage is about 10%, not doing the basics of what we should be doing, 10%. If we took care of our 10%, the other loud piece that I'm getting ready to surprisingly tell you about is the 90%. If we knew better, would we do better? It's a very important question. If you knew better, would you do better? A surprising 90% of credit misfortune is due to manipulation, deception, delay, confusion, corruption, and so many more other adjectives, which describes the abuses of the very industries entrusted to protect, enforce, regulate, and litigate. It's just that simple. 90%. Don't think for a second that you're the one who is at fault for all of your credit mishaps. You're not. Yes, if you haven't paid your bill on time. Yes, if you haven't brought down your utilization. Yes, if you go out there and you are just inquiring. Yes, if you don't keep your mix of credit understandably. Yes, if you don't have a history that represents how you've been using your credit. Of course, that's the 10% that I'm referring to. The smallest piece is what we have to be in control of. But the largest mishaps are out of your control because of what we don't know. But now that you know, should you be doing better? Absolutely. Absolutely. Our nation has entrusted too many industries across, access to our personal information. Too many individuals have access. And if you watch John Oliver, he talked on a very wonderful, if you have not, please go back and watch that John Oliver about computers. I'm telling you, what you learn from our comedians, what you learn from these public figures who are bringing it, of course, in a more of a jovial way, what you learn from them is pretty surprising. Bill Maher spoke on some his last show this just past weekend, again, highlighted some real critical stuff about what took place when it came to all of that money. $5.7 trillion was pumped into this economy during the pandemic, $5.7 trillion. But I'm not going to talk about that, but come back around at the very end. So the 117th Congress and the Congresses before had in multiple reports called on industries entrusted with public trust to step up their game and suffer penalties and fines, which have only emboldened them to commit and unleash even more egregious harm on consumers. Again, it's out there in black and white. It's out there in black and white. Report after report, congressional inquiry after congressional inquiry. There's so much information out there that lets all of us know that these companies are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Sad to say, the very Congresses have equally given the same habitual abusing industries entrusted with public trust the abilities to profiteer and enrich themselves and their industries at our expense. Yes, at our expense. They're taking everything that Congress, lobbying, and everything else that comes with that prestigious title, and they're allowing 4 industries to get away with egregious things because they do not do what we all have being done in our places of work, which I would hope, oversight, proper oversight, accuracy, making sure that things are done in the manner in which they should. As Leverage Credit Recovery, and I attempt to navigate you and yours through the simplicities and complexities of the credit reporting, we look forward to all the questions and answer sessions coming soon. So if you have any questions or answers, or questions that want answered, please, as we go through the show and as we go through all the shows, please leave a comment right there in that comment section. And again, we want to thank you for allowing us or me the opportunity to enrich, to address, to reintroduce you to credit and the importance of building and maintaining a proper credit profile. All right, so 716. 716 is the average the average score of Americans when it comes to their credit. 716. So if you're not at that 716, not only do you need this show, but you need every show until you are at the national average. And even once you get to that national average, you should be striving to reach as high as you possibly can. And if you're taking care of three things, paying on time, utilization, and making sure that they're reporting. That's it. Credit, paying on time, utilization, and making sure that they're reporting. If you take care of those three things, making sure that they're reporting is one of the biggest things, because we're seeing that they're not doing that. They're not reporting according to your contractual relationship. You are in a contractual relationship with all of your creditors. And if they're failing to meet the contractual relationship as it has been laid out, then they're violating your rights. They're violating the contract, and they're equally violating your right. You're a consumer, and you are protected by rights and acts. And those acts, yes, sad to say, we're losing a lot of our privileges. Roe v. Wade. It's just something that popped up overnight that they're trying to remove that. If they start with something so vital, something so established as law already, do you think they're going to stop there, or are they going to keep going? All right, so we really got to do our part, folks. We got to do our part. We have no other choice, because if we don't, we're already seeing them strip away, steal as much as they possibly can. But 716 is the national average. It's another year and another high record of average U.S. FICO scores. Now, Fico, Fair Isaac Corporation, that's the one that I would say is probably the most prominent one. There's Vantage scores, and you'll be hearing a couple of those as we move through this, as we move through a couple of other segments of the show as well. So you'll be seeing different scorings from different entities. Fico is one of the larger ones. Fair Isaac, according to what we've read and seen and validated in our findings, Fair Isaac Corporation is 90% of all loans, if I'm not mistaken, 90% go through the Fair Isaac Corporation. So if you're getting your loans through somewhere else and they're not using FICO, hey, they might be doing you a disservice, or they might be doing you a service. Always, again, double check. Buying cars, getting a credit card, always make sure you have the highest credit score available to you, because it's only going to keep you in a range where you can meet those monthly payments, and you won't find yourself defaulting, even if for whatever reason, the worst case scenario, that you lose that job. Still got to be able to maintain. All right. And after the 5 points increased in 2021, the latest rise is a function of many factors, and the pandemic did little to deter the credit boom that unfolded across the United States. So, in other words, they're trying to tell you that credit scores went up. If yours did not go up, then there's probably some things that you need us to address with you. So don't be sitting in the corner or twiddling your thumbs, or I don't know what to do type of situations. We are here, and we are going to continue to stay here. Soul City Network, which is a fabulous network, bringing to you content like this, and also content that is beyond this. I have to speak very highly of my colleague and mentor, Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse with Access Wealth Nation. Again, I help you with the credit, and I look forward to always being able to take that individual who is now met and is meeting their credit needs. I always love to be able to transition them right on over into Dr. Yana B's hands, so that she can work on the rest of what not credit needs, but what other financial needs you might be needing to satisfy. So it's always good to have a one-stop shop type of understanding where you can get all of those needs taken care of right in-house. I can tell you right now, it's going to be done with the expertise that I myself can only ask of anyone else. So it's really, really, really super important to understand that you have not only means, but you also have the ability. You just have to want it more than those of us who are offering it to you. All right, so why should you trust Leverage Credit Recovery? With accuracy and accountability in mind, we pride ourselves on presenting you with the latest information from the most reliable sources. We carefully select data from the largest credit reporting agencies like Fico, Fair Isaac Corporation, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. In addition, we explore our data with relevant data from the United States government, the U.S. Federal Reserve, the Fed, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is also a CFPB, and other reputable research institutions. All right, so we do way more to make sure that you, the client, has the most up-to-date information when it comes to your credit report. We carefully vet all the findings and sources. All right, when we go to the Fed, we know we ain't got really too much to worry about. It's Equifax, TransUnion, Experian that we really don't extract too much from them because that's all private entities, and they're going to do what they need to do. We just validate their information clearly with the government information to find out how many mistakes have Equifax, TransUnion, Experian made. And I can tell you right now, there is a plethora of data that shows that Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, me personally, if I was someone in charge of running a financial operation for the United States government, those three entities would no longer be operating. It's just that simple. With the amount of fees and fines and things that they have been penalized with, I'm shocked and amazed that the United States government still lets these entities continue to operate and deceive, distort, lie, cheat, and every other adjective that you can possibly explain or label these individuals with. It's shocking. It is completely and utterly shocking. And I do hope that as time goes on, they keep raving about, well, they just raved about this week or last week, excuse me, how the CFPB is going to be manned and going to be staffed with all of its newly trained associates. Still doesn't help when you don't allow for those operators to do what they're supposed to do. Still doesn't help. You can put as many people in there as you want to. It's still not going to help if you do not allow them to listen to the consumer, file the grievances or the disputes accordingly, and then wait for a response before you close the grievance. You should close the grievance once the parties have come to some form of an amicable understanding. But CFPB closes the grievances prior to, which only gives Equifax, TransUnion, Experian the ability to create more abuse within its own entity. It's sad. It's very, very sad. But this is why you should trust us, because we're exposing, and it doesn't matter who we expose, all of them. Every single last one of them must be exposed for their habitual abuse of us, the consumer. It's just that simple. And we're the ones who are going to do it. Every single time. Every single time. Every single entity, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, Fico, Sesame, Credit Karma. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're racking in bucks. You're deceiving consumers with your gimmicks. You're doing everything to enrich yourself and profiteer, which again, that's the business model, and it's perfectly fine. But you could do a lot better, and you could earn a lot more if you decided to do it the right way. But for you consumers, I'm all about making sure that you are savvy, smart, wise, intelligent, brilliant, bright, every adjective known to man that could only help you when it comes to dealing with these habitual abusers. And I'm going to call them that forever. Because like I said, there's report after report after report after report after report after report, decades of report showing the exact same thing. And all these individuals or companies do: slap on the wrist, change the CEO, give the outgoing CEO millions of dollars in compensation for doing a horrible job, bring in a new CEO who's only going to be there for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and then he's going to not be able to repair or rectify some of the previously outgoing CEO's situations, and he's only going to make it worse, or she's going to only make it worse. And then again, the cycle repeats itself. It's a habitual cycle of repetitive abuses, and at some point, which is now, there has to be entities, which is this one, that are going to challenge every single last bit of data that's being presented by these habitual abusers. Just that simple. All right, so let's jump into it. By state, here's some of the states with the highest credit scores. Minnesota, 724. Vermont, 721. Massachusetts, 720 are the United States with the highest average. Now, this is Vantage scores. As I told you, you're going to be seeing a lot of different data. You're going to see some data from Fico. You're going to see some data from Vantage. And for the most part, those are the two primary. All right. Mississippi. These are the scores with the lowest. So it tells you something about these geological locations. All right. So you got some northerly states, and then you have some southerly states. Wonder why? Why is it that southerly states have the lowest credit scores? Interesting. And I can tell you right now, there's probably a lot of manipulation going on in those southerly states. There's probably a lot of manipulation going on in Mississippi. There's probably a lot of uneducated situations going on there in Louisiana. There's probably a lot of habitual abusing going on in there in Alabama. Because this is what these companies do. Low-income states that are primarily ran by Republicans who don't seem to give a hootenanny about whether or not you're okay. It doesn't seem like the Republican Party, and I'm not speaking for the whole party, I'm only speaking for those who constantly keep coming up in the news, showing that they could care less about their country. And if they can care less about the country, trust me, when they start looking at you who don't look like them, they don't care about you either. I'm just keeping it real, folks. I'm just going to tell it to you exactly the way you need to hear it. And if you are paying attention, great. And if you're not paying attention, I think it's about time now that you do. So we got Alabama, we got Kentucky, and we got Mississippi are the U.S. states with the highest bankruptcies rates per capita. Again, why? Why are these southern states always struggling or seem to be struggling when it comes to financial understanding? Could it possibly be that they don't want these states to have intelligent, smart, savvy, wise people when it comes to their money? They like the poor to be illiterate. That's why we do financial literacy classes. That's why we offer financial literacy. That's why financial literacy now needs to be in every single K through 8 school. Yes, it's nice to have science. Yes, it's nice to have social studies. Yes, it's nice to have, what is that other one? Science, social studies. There was one more that I had on the top of my tongue right now, and I can't remember that we were just doing it today. Science, social studies, history. There it was. History. Yes, it's nice to have those. It is so nice, but I believe in, again, just my personal opinion. You can do those classes and they can come towards the beginning of the day, ending of the day, middle of the day, but I don't think they need to be that full 45 minutes. You can probably lump social studies and histories right together. 45 minutes, boom, knock it out. But when you get into those higher grades, meaning in high school, and they want to elaborate a little bit more, and then when you decide, hey, you know what, I like history and I want to probably be a history major, then that's when they should dive in there. But these social skills, you're going to need those almost immediately. These financial skills, you're going to need those almost immediately. I'm not saying pre-K. I'm not saying kindergarten. I'm not even saying first grade, but we should start introducing our kids to those understandings. What is a nickel? What's a dime? What's a quarter? What's a half a dollar? Who's on a penny? Our kids are so behind when it comes to this basics. And all I'm asking is for everybody who can hear my voice, everybody who is partaking in this conversation, to focus primarily on the basics. And then as we have achieved that first goal, that first milestone, then we step it up. I think it's Sierra who sings that song, level up, level up, level up, level up. I need y'all to start leveling up. I need everybody out there to start leveling it up, bring it up, start and bring it out, putting it together. Bring your A game every single day. You start talking about your resources, your money. Because if your money's not working hard for you, I can tell you right now, I know who's working hard for it. Kevin Hart, Samuel L. Jackson. Oh, why do I keep mentioning them too? Because those are the only two that you constantly see. John Cena. They getting paid the bucks. But they're not getting paid the bucks because that product that they're offering is so good. They're getting paid the bucks because that product they're offering is horrible. It's horrible, but because of the fact that these entities, again, I'm going to constantly keep putting out there, do your own research, Google it. Google fines and fees by financial institutions. Google fines and fees by credit reporting agencies, and you'll see what I see. Over the course, trillions of dollars. over the course of their existence, since their inception, trillions of dollars in fines and fees. And all they do, slap on the wrist, don't do it again. This is your congressman and congresswoman talking. Don't do it again. Then they go right out and they do it again. All right, by state. Let's talk about by age. There is a positive correlation between Americans' age and credit scores. The older they are, the higher the credit scores. So the silent generation, those of us in that 75 plus range, on an average, U.S. FICO scores are 758 to 747. Oh, excuse me, 47 points higher than the national average. All right, so that's a beautiful thing. If you are in that range and you are sitting very comfortably with 758, great. Great. Continue to keep doing what you're doing. Just double check to make sure that all your data is correct. Primarily making sure that they are reporting the way they have agreed. What I mean by that is that you are in a contractual relationship. You are in a relationship with all your lenders. And your lenders are contractually bound to make sure that they are doing things the correct way, as you are. So one of those things that must be done the correct way is making sure that you are paying on time. If you're paying on time, that's a plus. That is part of your agreement. You have a due date. That due date states that I must pay on this date. If I shall not, I might get hit with a fine or a fee for late. That fine or fee could put you in an overdraft. That's another added points to your credit report going in the negative. Okay, so making sure you pay on time. All right, second part of that is making sure that they, part of your contractual arrangement, that they're reporting it according to the arrangement. So please make sure, I gotta keep reiterating it because I need you to know how serious that is. Please make sure that they are reporting your stuff on time. Just that simple, just that easy. Just that simple, just that easy. Moving on. Generation Z, 18 to 23-year-olds. On an average, U.S. FICO scores of 674. This is minus 37 points less than the national average. Okay, so you're under here. You're 18 to 23-year-olds. You're under the national average. A little bit of work you got to do. So if you were looking at somebody in that 18 to 23 range, got that first job, you've been in it for about 6 months, 8 months, maybe even a year or two. Now you're ready to start looking at, oh, wait a minute, I'm tired of taking the bus. I know what kind of money I'm making. I'm ready to buy me my first car. But if you went into the market looking at a car at that price range, you're probably going to be a little bit surprised that this might not get you or yield you those single digits. So you may need a cosigner. If you have someone in the family who could cosign for you, that would be a plus, as long as theirs is above yours. Might bring it down just a little bit, but still. Cosigners or authorized users, if you are working with somebody who's in that range, please continue to, because that person already understands the importance of credit. All right, so don't penalize our 18 to 23-year-olds. Make sure we're working with them and helping them. If you got any 18, 23-year-olds in the household that are unsure about what credit's all about, I'm the guy. I just took one of mine, not one of mine personally, but one of my young entrepreneurs. About 3-4 weeks ago, maybe a little bit longer, he texted me and said, hey, Mr. Glover, thank you so much for teaching me. This was a high school student that I had prior to him becoming a young entrepreneur. And after he graduated, he still wasn't quite on his footing. Took care of him for about a month. Excuse me, not a month, but about a year. They worked with me. And he surprised, came back with that text, and it said, Mr. Glover, thank you so much for helping me out with, understanding credit. My credit is now at a 778. If I'm not mistaken, he's well up there into that 700 range. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful understanding to see someone so young grasp the concept and understand, I got to do this for myself. Mommy and daddy can't do this. I got to do it for myself. Now they can guide you. They can help you. They can put you on a credit card. They can go ahead and make that first purchase car for you, with you on there, as long as you're doing the right things. Don't put them in a hardship because you don't know what to do. Moms and dads, don't think for a second that your children are illiterate. They're not illiterate. They just don't have the business savvy when it comes to credit. So partner them with ideal partners and coaches, and let us help them navigate through so that they don't become a burden, or you don't feel that they are a burden, because they're not. They're just ill-advised, inexperienced, and all they're looking for is proper ways of being able to navigate these complexities and, again, simplicities, because it's not that challenging. So American aged 18 to 29 have the highest portion of their total loans in serious delinquencies. So our youngsters are about 90 days past due, and this is as of third quarter 2021. So it's really important. If you are finding yourself not being able to meet your obligations, this is the perfect time frame to speak to somebody like myself, because we're able to maneuver you through, show you proper ways of being able to get from behind these past dues. All right, Americans average age 18 that has the highest portion of their credit card loans in serious delinquencies as well. So it's really important that if you're working, you might not be making enough. You might be underpaid, which is understandable, because a good 70 to 80% of this population is underpaid. But you can still use that credit wisely. You can still manage properly, and you can find yourself ahead of the game if you're doing or exercising the steps in which we have presented to you. It's going to help you. It's going to make you a better consumer. It's going to make you a better partner. It's going to make you a better person. Once you can put a lot of those financial worries to the side, everything else becomes a piece of cake. Okay. So by income, there is a positive correlation between Americans' income and credit scores. The higher their income, the higher their credit scores. And that's normally a plus. But sometimes we can have a huge income, but still have poor credit because we were never taught. All right. High income Americans have a medium, and now this is Equifax. So the Equifax loves to give data as well. And as I stated, we're gonna mix up this data. Because I want you to equally go out and compare yourself. All right. So the Equifax risk score. Now, each one of these companies equally have their own risk factors. Okay, Equifax may have a different risk factor than Fico. Fico may have a different risk factor than Vantage. Vantage may have a different risk factor than Experian. Experian may have a different risk factor than TransUnion. TransUnion may have a different risk factor than Identity IQ. Identity IQ may have a different risk factor than you have over 28 credit scores. 28 credit scores. 28 credit scores. Can you imagine getting 28 scores for one test? And this is exactly how they keep this confusing, how they keep us so disconnected from how we should technically be following our information. That's why it needs to be a public option. You can no longer have private entities doing this business when we know that they're not doing it with accuracy and efficiency. They're doing it for profit, period. And it's sad to have to throw our congressional leaders in that mix, all of our elected officials. It's sad to have to throw you in that mix. I'm throwing you under the bus. Yes, throwing you under the bus. And I'm going to roll over and I'm going to come back and I'm going to roll back over again, because if you have been doing the right things, guess what? This wouldn't be a topic that I'd be talking about. I'd be talking about something else. But since you, as the primary investors, and because Nancy Pelosi is finally talking about it as well, that no members of Congress should be allowed to make money while they're in Congress by, again, investing in companies that they're supposedly regulating. How are you going to regulate a company when you're making money off that company? You're not going to do that. You're not going to do it. And it's okay that we know you're not going to do it. But I mean, come on, stop telling us you're going to do something knowing good and well you're not. You're not. You're getting ready to allow one of the richest people on the face of the planet to buy to take a company private, when this company should never be allowed to be purchased because of their influence that they have. But I'm just a normal individual guy. I'm just a plain Jane of an individual that's got way too much savvy, smarts, and brilliance to be doing excuse me, not to be doing, but I'm needed to be doing what I'm doing right at this particular time in history, calling out those who who should have been called out decades ago, putting the spotlight on those who should have had the spotlight on them decades ago. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to continue to keep doing it. This is not a grievance. This is not it's tolerating the intolerable. We've been doing it for far too long, and it's got to stop. While low-income Americans have a medium Equifax risk score of 658. Again, 774 on the higher level, good, but it's still not where you need to be. A 774 probably going to get you somewhere in that higher digits of interest rates. I want to be in those lower digits. So get it on up. Get it on up another 35, maybe even 40 points. Take it into that 810 area, 814 area. All right. Even that 657, take it on up. And that's the medium. And that's low income. So low income, you're doing good. We still need you to step it up. And you probably are not able to step it up because of the fact that you're not there where you need to be when it comes to your financial literacy. Okay, and that's where we want you. You know you have it in you. We know you have it in you. That's why we're presenting the data in that manner so that you know you have it in you. If we stop shopping for one day, if African Americans, Hispanics, just those two ethnicities or those races or demographics, if they stop shopping for one day, it would send this economy in a free-for-all. Oh, yes, it would, because our dollar has so much value. It has more value to Microsoft, Apple, Acer, Dell, Optimum, T-Mobile, all these institutions that they don't value us, but they value our money. But if we made it abundantly clear that, okay, you value my money, but you're going to now start valuing me because I'm going to stop spending my money, oh, watch how things would turn immediately, so quick. You got to know what you got to know, because what you don't know is only harming you more than anything else. All right, so by race. So Asian Americans, 745, have the highest average credit score, while Black Americans at 677 have the lowest. African Americans, we got some work to do. That's an average. So that means there's got to be some huge misses at that bottom level. If we're at 677, I wonder where in between, I mean, not in between, because the average is the middle. All right. But there's probably some of us higher, but I guarantee you there's more of us in that lower realm than it is in that higher realm. And this is what's got to change over the next course of, I'm giving you 3 years. And the reason why I'm giving you 3 years is because we got 2 elections coming up. We got a midterm coming up here at the end of 22. And then we got another one coming up 24. So those are the 3 years that I'm more or less referring to. All right. It's not a full 3 years, but again, you use the time for however you want to use the time. But by the next election, meaning the next general election, I am hoping that a good percentage of Americans, because we're only, again, Blacks and Hispanics make up now no more than 30% of the population. We don't make up 30% of the population, but yet we find ourselves doing far more when it comes to keeping this economy running. That's alarming. That's alarming. We're paid horrible, but yet we keep this economy thriving with how we spend our money. I don't need the Elizabeth Warrens. I don't need the Bernie Sanders. I don't need anybody like that telling me, even though I appreciate them. I listen to a lot of Robert Reich. I listen to a lot of economists. The Morning Joe, Steve Ratner. The, not labor. He was an economist. Oh my goodness. Jared Bernstein. All right. I listen to a lot of individuals who have great economic information that allows for me to go back out into the world and convey this to you so that you now know these are the things that you are going to have to do if you want to see some financial fortitude. It's just that simple. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And once you develop a game plan, once you develop a strategy, that's what my job here is now to do, is to coach you through, make sure that you're on a winning team. We are a winning team. And all we want to do is position you properly on that winning team, whether you come off the bench or whether you're a star player. Doesn't matter. If you want it, we got it. And if you want it, we're going to make sure that you have it. Just that simple. All right, by gender, American males have an average Vantage score of 781, while American women have an average Vantage score of 774. So it's really not that far apart from either gender, which is fantastic. But again, if I broke this down by African American, Anglo-Saxons, Asians, Mexicans, and so forth and so on, you'd probably see some disparities in those numbers. But on an average, not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Keep working on it. Let's get up to those 800s. Let's really make it shine. Let's really make it pop. Because once we do, again, then they'll start taking things a bit more serious. Then they'll start taking us a bit more serious. And it's all about making these entities take us a bit serious. Data of the U.S. Department of Labor shows that women earn 82% of men's median salary. So they're still getting paid far less than men. Yes, it doesn't seem like 18 points is a lot, but 18 points is a lot. It is a lot. It's just that simple. And with credit scores highly correlated with income, the dynamic places women at a disadvantage. So women, not only are they attempting to get rid of settled law, which is Roe v. Wade, they're still harming you when it comes to how you are able to earn and how you're able to manage your money. This country has not been working for women. It hasn't been working for African Americans. It hasn't been working for Hispanics. And it's now overdue time for those three groups that I just mentioned: women, African Americans, Hispanics. It's overdue time for us to now get financially literate and pass this information on to our K through 12, so that when they get into this working world and also become earners, high earners and degrees, and they start focusing on their education, we need to make sure that their lives are going to be going in that upwards trajectory. It's time to get off these roller coasters that find more down than they do up. I'm done with those roller coasters. I don't mind taking that long journey up that hill. I don't mind taking it, but I want to get up there and I want to remain up there. I do understand that there are some situations that might befall upon us that puts us back into a category of where we might not want to be, but it shouldn't be decades and eons and life struggles that should get us out of it. We should be able, through normal understandings, just by understanding the basics, we should be able to see a lot more forward momentum, but we don't. And it's sad. It's really, really, really sad. So here's the effect the pandemic had. So the pandemic effect. TransUnion found that 58% of Americans which enrolled in financial hardship programs during the pandemic increased their Vantage scores. So that's a plus, because you were probably able to pay down some of your debts. You probably used that money that came in instead of going shopping and buying more sneakers and more pants and more sweatshirts and hats and shirts and all kind of other stuff. You probably said, hey, let's put this money to some real use. And let me start paying down some of this debt. Let me start putting it to my credit. And let me start allocating some of my credit purchases to some of my credit cards, so that this money that's coming in, I'm now able to chunk it out in reasonable amounts. And I'm now able to manage my credit far more effectively. If you are sitting on $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $12,000, $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 credit cards, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt if you're not making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. Okay? Please be careful with your money. Please make sure that you're allocating your cards to specific tasks. Keep those tasks low. You should know by now how much money you're spending on a weekly basis when it comes to food. You should know how much money by now you're spending on gas. You should know how much money your utilities cost. Cell phone, cable, If you're paying for gas and trash, if you're paying for all that stuff, you should know how much they cost on a monthly basis, that I can put it onto one card, because this is something that's being paid every single month. It's being paid every single month. And if you're using your debit in cash to do these purchases, you're only hurting your credit. All right. Americans have exited hardship programs early, demonstrated a 4.8 delinquent rate, so 30 days past due in the 6 months after obtaining a new bank card in the fourth quarter. So what they're basically telling you there is that you got something during the hardship. 4.8 percentage of the population became delinquent within that 30 days. With that pandemic money, hopefully you used it properly and you started paying down some of the debt after you received your new bank card. Prior to that, I'm hoping now, with the pandemic resources that you received, hopefully you started applying that too. If you didn't, again, this is where the self-sabotage comes in play. You don't use extra money to go out and buy more stuff. You use that extra money to bring down. Okay. Americans which remained in hardship programs demonstrated 4.9 delinquent rates during the same time frame. So the delinquent rates with both of these understandings kind of remained in the same situation. Americans with which avoided hardship programs showed 5.1. So whether you got money or whether you didn't, that rate pretty much stayed the same. All right, so that means we still got a lot more work to do, and we can do it. We can do it with each other's help. Teach one, or what is it? Teach one. There's a teach one, learn one, teach one, something related to that, where we as individuals have to teach each other. We have to bring each other's into the folds. We have to allow for even those who don't look like us, but if you're more comfortable with learning from those who look like us, that's perfectly fine too. I'm not shying away from anyone. I don't care what you look like. If you need that financial literacy assistance and help and guidance, then that's what we're here to do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm speaking primarily, as I always do, to my community, which is African-American community, which is our Hispanic community, which is those communities that have been left behind by their government. And it's sad to say, yes, poor white folks, you have equally been left behind. Don't get caught up in the MAGA stuff thinking that, oh, MAGA's there to take care of you. MAGA is there to take care of MAGA rich folks. Trust me when I tell you. Trust me when I tell you, when they strip Roe v. Wade, it doesn't matter if you're rich. Excuse me. It matters very much if you're rich, because you're going to be able to go to where they still have legal abortion. But if you're not, you're going to be kind of just like everybody else. Same thing when it comes to your financial literacy. If you don't take that necessary next step to improve your financial literacy, you're going to be just like everybody else, because you can see by these numbers. These numbers are only telling us whether you were in a hardship, whether you had received a new credit card, whether you were not in a hardship, or whether you were, again, you avoided the hardship altogether. These numbers were only 2 points off. Oh, fractions of 2 points, my apologies. But not that much. Okay, so it just basically tells us things stayed the same, even though more money was pumped into the system. And it's now overdue time for us to finally realize we have to get in front of these situations in order for them to change. Can't leave them in the hands of government any longer. Can't leave our hard working scenarios and situations in the hands of our government, in the hands of our employers. We have to take more responsibility and ownership over the contractual relationships that we get in, and do not leave them in the hands of the entity that says, oh, we got you. We'll take care of you. We'll handle it all. No need to worry about it. You better worry. And you better do your part, which is making sure you follow up every 15 to 30 days. Every 15 to 30 days. That's what? Maybe half an hour worth of work every month. A half an hour on the 15th, a half an hour on the end of the month. Every month, an hour. to make sure that your finances are all tip top and in shape. And then if they're not, to reconcile, find those little quirks and tweaks where you can keep that upwards trajectory going. That's why I keep saying you can't find time. You have to make time. Once you start making that time and keep it as a routine, you got the coaches already here. The coaches are looking for star players. And if you're not a star player, trust me when I tell you, I can make you one. When it comes to your money, when it comes to your financial literacy, I can not only make you a star player, but I can make you into a athlete, like a financial athlete like nobody. You could be the LeBron James of your household. You could be the Stephen Curry of your household when it comes to your financial literacy. You can be the Michael Jordans and the Scottie Pippens of your home when it comes to your financial literacy. And these are championship players that I'm bringing to the table. All right? Championship players. So be on a winning team. Start taking care of your finances. Start getting in front of your situations and stop letting them become issues, concerns, which turn into problems. Because once you do, I'm telling you, the relief that you're going to have, not only spiritually and mentally, but physically, you're going to see your whole life change when you start taking and adhering a lot of what we're saying and then taking it step by step, chunk by chunk, piece by piece, month by month, 2 weeks by 2 weeks. All right, so historical average of FICO scores. While Americans' on-again, off-again relationship with COVID-19 has sent consumers' confidence on a wide range. U.S. credit scores have been significantly beneficiaries. My apologies. Moreover, Americans' balance sheets have never been more resilient, which enhances unemployment benefits, surging stock prices, and record-breaking home price uplifting U.S. Household wealth, which is true. The economy is still doing good. We can sit here and say, oh, the economy. Unemployment now went down to 3 and some change, and record-breaking home prices. Prices are through the roof because inflation is through the roof. You are putting money in, but you're barely seeing a return on your investment. Thanks to the CARES Act and private lenders providing loans, forbearance program, U.S. delinquency rate, and personal bankruptcies have also fallen to record lows. So we do have a lot of programs out there that have been attempting to help, but a lot of these programs were still loans. They were not grants where they were just getting rid of them. No. Biden is still trying to come to terms with $50,000 in credit, a student loan. But I can tell you right now, on the other side of the aisle, they're talking about, why should we give you a break? We didn't lie to you. Yes, they did. When I went to school back in, I'm still going to always bring up Chris Matthews, favorite, one of my favorites of all times, news reporter, hardball. When he said he was going to Holy Cross, $5,000 a semester. Holy Cross is not $5,000 anymore, y'all. It's not. It's closer to those tens of thousands, if I'm not mistaken. All right. But again, Google it. Look it up. Look it up. Don't take everything that I'm giving you for out of my mouth at face value. But I can tell you right now, a good 90, probably 92, 93% of what I'm giving you is probably correct. Because I do my due diligence. I do my homework. I don't just throw out stuff just to be throwing out stuff. Fact check me all day long. Come on the show and fact check me there too. I have always suggested and asked anybody who has just as much knowledge or understanding, you're welcomed. And I really want you on the show. If you are someone in that financial field who would love to participate on a program every Tuesday, please come. I'll bring you in every single Tuesday. We can talk and shoot the jab as much as we want. All right. As a result, the average U.S. FICO score hit a new all-time high. So that 716 is a new all-time high since 2021. And it's the 9th straight annual increase. So we're doing something right. So why is it that we're not all reaping the benefits? Financial literacy, folks. Financial literacy. We're doing something right. So why are we not all reaping the benefits? Financial literacy. All right, let's take a look at some of those numbers, how they've been going up year after year. So in 2005, we had an average of 688. And as we went every 5 years, 2010 didn't go up much. It actually went down. Okay, let's check out 2015. Went up a nice little chunk of change. But again, you're still in an area where do we really want to be in that sixes? Because sixes really, again, I keep telling you, it's going to get you somewhere in that lower double digits, but you're still going to be in that double digit. Oh, I want that exceptional rate that they always offer. That 1%, that 2%, that 3%. That's where I want to be. And in order to get there, we're going to have to see much better numbers than this. So as of 2021, 716 became the national average. What do you think this year, 2022, the national average is going to be? So we won't find out, obviously, until the end of the year. What do you think it's going to be, higher or lower? We'll find out next year, won't we? All right, so here's how we can average out what that increase looked like. So month to month, or year to year, my apologies. Year to year, we kind of kept it, we went up, kept it a little stagnant, then we dipped. Then we started seeing that upwards trajectory every year. And this is what I'm talking about. You should always see an upwards trajectory. You shouldn't see it this. You should not see this. You should not see roller coaster after roller coaster after roller coaster. You're going up and down, up and down, up and down. This is what your credit should look like every single month, every single year. It should be going in an upwards trajectory. Why is it not? Oh, manipulation, deception, abuse by habitual abusers taking advantage of us, the consumers, for profiteering means. That's all it is. That's why your credit report doesn't look like this line right here. It's just that simple, folks. All right, average FICO score by age. Like a fine wine, Americans' credit scores improve with age and with older generations grabbing the baton of young generations. The data highlights how a strong credit profile is built over a lifetime. To that point, the silent generation, as we've already talked about, U.S. FICO score is 758. It's 47 points higher than the national average. Conservatively, Generation Z average FICO score is 674. It's 37 points less. But again, still looking good. But if you're at 748, why can't you be at, if you're at 674, why can't you be at 774? Why can't you be at 874? If you're at 758, why can't you be at 850? You can. You just got to know what's in there preventing you from top tier. And that's what I'm going to be striving for. And that's what everybody else should be striving for. Top tier. Inflation can still go up, but you can still be top tier with limited spending, reserve spending. Put some of that money back in your pocket. All right. This is going to require another session because I want to continue more into the credit by other areas as well, like gender. I'm going to jump right into this one before we wrap it up so you can see here what Gen Xers look like, what millennials look like, what baby Generation X looks like, what baby boomers look like, and what the silent generation looks like. So you got some impressive numbers, but these numbers can still be better with financial literacy right here. These kids are just coming into, okay, they're just coming into, got that first job. These guys here have been around for a little bit. They're not into that first, they're probably into that second. These guys here, if they've been working for some time frame and they're still wondering, wow, really? That's all I got? I need to be doing better. The only way to do better is with financial literacy. The only way to step it up a little bit more is with financial literacy. Following the programs, following the understandings. We are coaches because every winning team, every losing team has a coach too. But I'd rather be on a team that's got a winning coach. All right. So as I stated, thank you as always. Do you have any questions? And if you do, please do not hesitate to post those questions. You can leave us an email. You can leave one here at Soul City Network. They'd be more than happy. Go to their Facebook page and drop in a quick comment or a question, and we'd be more than happy to get that back out to you. And as always, folks, our Leverage Credit Recovery contact information. You can send me an email at leveragecreditrecovery@gmail.com. We have one specifically for our credit customers, and that's Coach Credit 411@gmail.com. My telephone number, if you want to leave me a text, or if you'd like to leave me a voicemail, 805-428-9424. And you can find us on all of the social media platforms listed below. Facebook, Leverage Credit Recovery. Instagram, equally Leverage CR. Twitter, Leverage CR. And TikTok, Credit Coach 411 or Coach Credit 411, Leverage CR as well. I want to thank you as always, ladies and gentlemen. It is always a pleasure to be a part of your Tuesday. I thank you as always for allowing me into your living rooms, into your living situations with the ability to come and teach you as much as I possibly can. With you, it's a pleasure. Without you, I'm hoping that none of us are without each other, because we know how important it's going to be when it comes to us getting to that next level. As you already know, Roe v. Wade is something that it was settled law, and now it's about to be overturned. That for me is alarming, because once they start down that road, what's next? Voters' rights? What's next? What's next? Let's get our situations in order. Voting is more important than ever. As I always like to end it off with my adoring, wonderful, beautiful women. Women are running the world, folks. They're running the world. And women, you got to step it up. You got to keep doing what you're doing, because we as the men who are watching you strive and take us to that next level of excellence, you're doing an amazing job. Keep it up. Keep it up. And thank you as always to our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. We are with you. We're standing with you. And we pray for you, each and every one of you. America, continue to be safe. And until next Tuesday. Be safe.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.